All right, and we are now live, family. Welcome back. For those of you who are live with me earlier, I told you I would be doing another live tonight. I told you I would have the brother RFG, the chosen one, on tonight. Here the brother is. Without further ado, my brother RFG, the chosen one. Welcome back to the platform.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Indeed, indeed. Once again, family. Be prepared for another amazing conversation. Make sure you share, and I'm gonna get to this brother's Instagram real quick. Make sure you share this video with your friends and family. I love stuff like this. I love conversations like this, and I love to have these type of conversations on my channel.
Mhm.
About our origin and our history, our cosmic history. Uh let's see. Let's start. So the brother put up. He always puts up in very intriguing Instagram posts, and he put up an Instagram post, and I said, I want to talk about this. Gotta talk about it. So let's get to this Instagram post real quick, family. You see the graphics, right? The graphics look intriguing. Let's get to this Instagram post. Most, not all Caucasians have a sulfur-based melanin. American Moors and Africans have a selenium-based melanin. This means biologically, the original Nordics have no origins on Earth. The Nordic race traces their origin back to the masculine side of the galaxy. I didn't even know there was a masculine and feminine side of the galaxy, so I can't wait to talk to you about this. The masculine side of the galaxy, which is the Pleiades star system. The aboriginals of Earth are located on the feminine side of the galaxy. The original humanoid beings on Earth were asexual, highly melanated plant slash humanoid. Wow. The male sex was engineered into the Aboriginal genome, and even after they produced the male sex, the Aboriginal Americans lived in a matriarchal society. The Nordic race produced their male sex first. Their female sex was engineered second. This is why the Nordics have always lived in a patriarchal society. The Black American woman rebelling against the Black American man is embedded in their very DNA. They are simply expressing the urges inside of the Amazonian portion of their DNA. This is a hell of a post, y'all. Make sure y'all listen, take notes, take a screenshot, follow the brother on Instagram. Let me read that again. They're simply expressing the urges inside of their Amazonian portion of their DNA. And the matriarchal rulers of the matrix want everyone on Earth to return to the hive minded, asexual humanoids that Earth started out with. Once again, Earth is located on the feminine side of the galaxy. The gods from Sirius allowed the Nordics to invade Earth so they could set up the Tiamat project, parentheses, gene splicing program,
Mhm.
and gene mixing program, so they could attempt to create perfected beings, new rulers of this galaxy, beings who possess DNA from both masculine and feminine sides of the galaxy. Mulatto man. There's a reason why you're the most hated man on earth. All right. Family, very interesting post, right? Very interesting post. RFG, man, we got to talk about this one here. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, we got to talk about this one here. Uh, could you explain some of this masculine, and let's start out with masculine and feminine side of the galaxy? I haven't heard this. How do you come to this conclusion that there's a side of the galaxy that's feminine, and there's a side that's masculine? Like, what makes that side feminine and that side masculine?
Well, we have to understand that when we deal with this physical realm, everything is dealing with forms of balance. You have a right and a left, you have an up and a down, and as within, so without, so-called yin and the so-called yang. Yin and yang are frequencies and not really polarities, but that's another subject. But when you talk about the galaxies are like cosmic hurricanes. And in order to basically formulate this cosmic hurricane known as a galaxy, you have to have dark energy, you have to have ether, and then you have to have the radiation, which gives birth to the stars. But the dark energy is what creates the cosmic vortex. which is the cosmic hurricane, which is the galaxy. And in order to start that, you have to create a you have to create a level of friction between two opposite forces, between two opposite opposing frequencies. And you have a positive etheric energy, you have a negatively charged form of etheric energy, and that is what ultimately creates the vortex, which creates what we know as galaxies. And when we look at the Nordic race, and then we look at the original inhabitants of the world, we're talking about complete polar opposite beings. We're talking about, on one side we have beings that are able to absorb starlight and able to use that starlight for fuel and natural energy. And then on the other hand, we have a group that is extremely sensitive to starlight, to the point where, they can end up getting skin cancer and end up dying from that same level of starlight. See what I'm saying? One group has coily hair that rises up and defies so-called gravity. Then you have the others whose hair comes out straight, non-curly, and goes down to the ground. You have one with colored skin. You have one with pale skin. You have one, with dark eyes. You have one with light blue eyes. You see what I'm saying? And even with the body shape, the demeanor, is just complete opposite. And I just don't see how a group such as the Nordics can be considered natural to the earth when they don't get energy from the natural energy source of the earth. And we're talking well over 95% of life on earth gets natural energy from the sunlight. So if we're talking about a species on the planet that can't get energy from the life giver of the earth, a species on the planet that gets attacked by the life giver of the earth, that for that to happen is at such a level of astonishment, and it's so rare. That's such a rarity to where you would have to ask the question, do the Nordics come from this earth? And I would have to assume no. I would have to come to the assumption of no, because once again, like you said at the beginning of the video, the sulfur-based melanin, they're the only group that have a sulfur-based melanin, and then their biochemistry is incompatible with Earth's environment. Now, when I say Nordic, I'm not speaking about the modern white person, because the modern white person has that Nordic DNA, but they also have Neanderthal DNA. And inside of that Neanderthal DNA, there is a portion of melanated DNA. And that's why when the life seeders of this galaxy, when they came to this earth, they had to splice the Nordic DNA with Neanderthal DNA. They had to incorporate that Neanderthal DNA into the other races, because the Neanderthal is the very reason why other races are able to mix. The Neanderthal is like a bridge species between different humanoids. You have African DNA in the Neanderthal. You have monkey ape DNA in the Neanderthal. You even have some canine DNA. You also have the Nordic DNA in the Neanderthal. So the Neanderthal was needed as a bridge species in order to give the go-ahead for every race to be sexually compatible on this earth. And I know this may be a lot for people to take in. This may be very shocking. This, very much paradigm shifting. But if you do the diligent research and you look at the information that I went over, I believe that this can be easily verified.
Right. Wow. Yeah, very interesting. So This Nordic race. Um, hmm. Why did I want to ask you about the guy you talked about the gods from Sirius? You said the gods from
Hmm.
Sirius allowed the Nordics to invade Earth so they could set up the Tiamat project, the gene splicing program, so they could attempt to create perfected beings. Um,
That's right.
they weren't happy with who they were. They seen something with the Nordics that they were like what was the mindset with splicing in ancient times where they wanted something that the Nordics had to splice with?
They saw Earth and they saw all the resources that were on Earth, and they had to formulate a plot to find a way to take that from the original inhabitants. So there may have been wars between the Syrians and the original Atlanteans, and maybe the Syrians were unable to defeat the Atlanteans, and that's why the Syrians felt the need to get the Nordics involved and then start the splicing program so they can create other races, to take over the resources of Earth.
So you're separating the Syrians from the Atlanteans. You saying they come from
Yeah.
those different? Okay, I thought the
Yes,
Atlanteans were Syrians, but so where are the Atlanteans? What part of the galaxy are they from? The Atlanteans.
the Atlanteans is Earth. That's Earth. And when they study the DNA on the chromosome level of the so-called Black American woman, her DNA goes back on this Earth billions of years. Now, the so-called Black American man has the oldest Y chromosome on Earth, and that goes back 340,000 years, when the male sex was first engineered on Earth. Because before that, you had the Amazonians, who were a group of so-called Black American women from South America to North America, and they lived in a matriarchal structure, and they were asexual. They gave birth to clones, and they had a queen of their empire. So everything that they put in the comic books, seems to be the real reality, and everything that they told us in their education systems seems to be very misleading.
Hmm. Why is it based on it seems that it's easier based on our genetics and DNA. People
Hmm.
like let's say a brother gets frustrated with sisters, right? You have something called the
Hmm.
passport bros. The brother be like, man, I ain't effing with those black women no more. I'm going overseas and messing with the woman from overseas or whatever. But with women, it
Hmm.
seems like let's say she just suffered 5 heartbreaks. Her homegirl might tell her, man, you should try a woman. You should try to get with some woman. So why does it seem that women are able to be with each other at such a faster rate, be gay at a faster rate, mate, well, I can't say mate with each other, but you get what I'm saying. Like it, I don't see when through experience, you don't see brothers going that route as fast as a woman
Hmm.
will go that route. Is that anything?
Exactly.
Is that anyhow connected to what you're saying?
It's very much connected because for hundreds of millions and billions of years, when you deal with the entire planet that's only female, asexual females, at some point that had to have been going on to some degree. And when you look at just basic biology, women are the first, gender on Earth. You have two X chromosomes. The X chromosome has to be the original human chromosome because the male needs a female X and a male Y. The female does not need a male chromosome. So therefore, the woman has to be the original.
Right. Now, very, very interesting, and I see some people disagree with that. You may get offended. It's all right. But like I said, I've seen this play out over and over and over again, over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
everybody's entitled to their opinion. But all right, so like I said, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Okay, so you saying the men on this on Earth didn't pop up to around 300,000? That's not. I
Three
thought.
340,000.
Wow. What civilization was this? Atlantis? What Lemuria? What civilization was this when men popped up?
Atlantis. Lemuria was that was like an empress, but the patriarchy started with Atlantis.
Right. Mm. Okay.
And it's very interesting because when you look at the Africans, and this is going to shock a lot of people, the Africans as well as the Europeans at many points in history did show signs of not being original to this earth, or not being immune to the biochemical makeup of the earth. So for instance, we've all heard of the Black Plague, right? That happened in Europe in the early 1300s.
Yeah.
The bubonic plague. And when the Spaniards and the Portuguese came to the Western world, they killed off most of the Incas and the Mayas and the Olmecs with their Spanish flu. Now, most people would think that that's just some kind of random coincidence. But wait a second. During the Black Plague, their entire species was almost wiped out completely. Now, if you study the way biochemistry actually works, if you were to go to a totally different planet, if you wouldn't be housed in a biodome and a spacesuit, you would die within maybe a day or a few days, because your cells are not immune to the foreign microbes and bacteria on that particular planet. So because of that, your cells would have to form an immunity to that new environment, to those new the new bio atmosphere, the new microorganisms. In order to form an immunity, you would have to get sick, and in many cases, you would end up dying until over time your species grew a form of immunity in that new atmosphere, in that new environment. That's exactly what happened with that group of white people in Europe in the early 1300s. I literally believe there were UFO crafts that were literally dropping humanoids and different humans off in certain locations to populate the earth. I'm dead serious. and that's where a lot of these plagues come from. It's because, when you talk about the origins of the European, the origins of the African, we're talking about two different groups that are from two different star systems with totally different biochemical makeups and different different atmospheres when we talk about what kind of microorganisms that they are immune to. And this is why a lot of new diseases, they are created between Africa and Europe. They have an African and European origins.
Bro, man, you got some wild theories. You said that aliens dropped off the humanoids to populate Earth in their body. Wow, man, that's very, it really makes a person think. So I definitely commend you for saying stuff that will get our gears going, man. Because that's some interesting stuff right there. So you mentioned the mulatto man. Why did you mention the mulatto man? What's up? What role does the mulatto man play in this whole thing?
Whoever, and I'm speaking about the entities that are responsible for the gene splicing program, which I refer to as the Tiamat project. Whoever is the head honcho of this gene splicing program on Earth, I believe their ultimate goal, or one of their ultimate goals, was to create the mulatto. Because when you look at the dynamics, the genetics of the mulatto's DNA makeup, you're talking about an entity that possesses both the highest masculine, the highest feminine, and we're talking about two different polar opposite, sides of the galaxy, two different polar opposite humanoid beings that represent opposite frequencies in the galaxy coming together to form its own entity. And that hasn't happened before in millions of years in this galaxy. I believe it just recently happened in the past 5,000-6,000 years, but I believe that is part of their ultimate goal. And you actually see this being carried out in Europe and the Western world, as far as, couples being proud to be interracial couples. And, it's getting to the point to where you have to ask yourself, is there a greater agenda at play? And I believe there is. And I believe that, when it comes to creating the mulatto group, I believe that is the ultimate goal of whoever's in charge of this genetic splicing program.
Indeed. Wow. Wow. So what do you think the time period we're in now, you see everything going on? What group is most interested in Earth right now? Like, we hear all this alien talk. Who are they really talking about? Who can we expect to see if we got all these groups out there monitoring Earth? Who can we expect to see out of all these groups?
Oh, I mean, of course, you're always going to see the Draconians, the Greys, because the Greys are slaves to the Draconians. For everybody who's unaware, the Draconians are just like highly intelligent reptilian humanoid beings. And then you have insectoid beings that can either appear like a mantis or a beetle. You also have different insectoid beings that live in inner Earth that look like ant humanoids. They're neither malevolent or benevolent, but sometimes they spy on human activity and just go on about their business. But they're not. I don't believe that they're a part of the Tiamat project. But the people, the beings that are spying on or checking on their experiment are the reptilians, the Greys, the Syrians, which include the Nagas, the blue avians, the Nomos, and then the humanoid Syrians. Those are the ones that are responsible for the genetic experiment, which is life on Earth.
Indeed. Okay. So what other species in the galaxy belongs to, let's say, the masculine side of the galaxy, and what other species come from the feminine side of the galaxy? Just curious.
The Palladians are basically the Nordics, and then you have another group. There's the Palladians is basically the Taurus, that I think that's the inside of the Taurus star system, Taurus star constellation. And then you have other solar systems that are closer neighbors to Earth's solar system. And the closer you are to the Earth solar system, the more feminine energy that is going to be ruling that particular star system. Now, when you look at Earth, right, Earth is known as Mother Earth. Earth has a sister named Venus, right? They're all sisters, and they go back to feminine rulership. And when you look at the Palladian star system, you're talking about the patriarchy and, you know, the birth of the Nordics, and their whole structure is based off of patriarchal rule. So the star constellations that are around Taurus, you have of course Gemini, you have Cancer, right? And remember, the zodiac is the size of the galaxy itself. You see what I'm saying? So you have different civilizations in different locations of the galaxy, and that zodiac wheel represents the entire galaxy itself. And depending on what type of rulership that these civilizations conduct, it depends on whether they exude, you know, more of the masculine patriarchy or more of the feminine matriarchy, which would create the term, you know, feminine rule or masculine rule.
Right, right. Let me ask your RFG. Let me ask you this: what do you think? The planes crashing have anything to do with anything cosmically happening now? I know we're going through a lot. The human resonance, I mean, not the human, the Schumann resonance is off the charts, and the magnetic poles is shifting. What's your thoughts on all these planes crashing?
That's a very good question, and you know, a lot of people believe it has something to do with the pole shift, but a lot of people are unaware that the Earth, you know, the energy field around Earth is non-magnetic. When you talk about the energy field around Earth, you know, we're talking about dark energy, ether, and static.
Right.
That creates the energy field around Earth, and something is taking place. There's a new level of frequency that's being emitted by the Earth, and any kind of entity or object that doesn't match that particular new frequency of the Earth is going to be facing certain anomalies. And when you talk about these, you know, the crafts that are crashing out of nowhere, I believe the first two that were aired in Philadelphia and DC, I think that those were rituals. I think those were carried out by the black budget government, and I think those were sacrificial rituals. But the others, I don't believe those are coincidences at all. I believe it's some kind of anomaly going on with the static energy field around the Earth. It has to be resonating at a new frequency, and for whatever reason, the planes are not. They're not connecting. They're not connecting with it. And there was a TV series that spoke about this. I know most of you have seen Leave the World Behind, right?
Right.
Now, what was happening close to the middle of that particular film? Planes dropping out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So you know, and I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but they're saying maybe in between 35 and 40 plane crashes so far in 2025 alone. And you know what I'm saying? We're just in the first week of February. That's kind of suspect.
Right. Do you think, well, if we're talking about extraterrestrials and their advanced technology, do you think they have the ability to hack our computers? Because, you know, a lot of the things we do, banking, air flights, a lot of that is digital. Do you think it's possible for like extraterrestrials to hack our computer systems here on Earth?
Oh, absolutely. Now I don't see what kind of like benefit they would get from it, other than, you know, trying to collapse the entire economic currency system so they could implement, you know, a global currency. That, I think that would be the only logical reason for them to hack our systems.
Right. What group, you know, I ask different people this question, and anytime I remember way back in the day before, you know, social media and the internet took off, They had a show on TV called Ancient Aliens, and you know they loved they love talking about Hitler. They had so many episodes about Hitler. From your
Hmm.
knowledge, 'cause I asked a lot of different people this question, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. What species or extraterrestrials was him and his crew involved with for them to get to where they got? I know he went to Antarctica and different places. Who were they involved with? Hitler and his people, the Nazis.
The Nordics, the Greys, and the Reptoids. There was a situation where Hitler and his Nazis traveled to Antarctica, and they stumbled across a tunnel, like a tunnel system, and they went down and they saw like UFO crafts and like giant hangars, like which are basically like giant garages that hold the UFO crafts. And out of nowhere, these extraterrestrial entities just appear after being camouflaged. Um, with the best form of camouflage there is. They're saying that these beings either shapeshifted to match their very environment, or they had the same technology that we saw in the Predator films, where their suits were able to bend the light photons that hit it, where they would just appear to be a walking mirror. So it's either they stumbled across these entities that had technology to make them look like walking mirrors, or they were able to literally shapeshift to match the image of their environment. And when they showed themselves, there was like there was a shootout, and they said dozens of Nazi soldiers died, and only a very select few were able to make it out alive.
Wow.
And that's what they say that they made movies off of, like Predator and Predator and the movie called The Thing.
Mm-hmm. You know, when we talk about seeing things, a lot of people don't see things. Some people do see things, extraterrestrials, aliens. The people who don't see it think that people who do see it are out of their damn minds because they don't see it. So they're like, if I don't see it, it ain't real. One of the
Mm-hmm.
we all talked about DMT before, and I've never done DMT, but people who do it, they start talking to plants and seeing shit move and all types of experiences, spiritual experiences they have. I want to ask you, when we come to this realm as children, um, children see all types of shit that the adults on DMT see. Like things in the sky or imaginary friends or dragons or shit like that. Do children, when we come to this realm, do we have a high level of DMT and we shut it down? Like, is there a connection between the level of DMT children have and what that drug that we take when we get older, the DMT? I hope I asked that right.
That's correct, because the pineal gland is a natural producer of DMT and other different chemicals that are able to allow our consciousness to see light waves that are existing outside of the light photon spectrum. And when you're a child, that is literally when your pineal gland is the freshest and the most active. And that's why a lot of different cases show that the intuition of a child is very, very high. Children are able to see spirits on much more consistently than adults.
Right.
And that has to do with that pineal gland not being calcified. And this helps them. It would help them meditate if there was a program that allowed children to tap into their meditation abilities, because at that period, between the ages maybe like 4 and 12, that's when the pineal gland is at its peak, is at its freshest. As an adult, we have to like ward off our thoughts and the time we have to take to make money, different distractions, different forms of idolatry. Then by that time, when you get an adult, all the chemicals that you take in from the food, from the pharmaceuticals, so-called drugs, the pollution they're putting in the air and the water, it starts to calcify the pineal gland. So that is a very solid reason why, children usually have better imaginations than adults, and on average, they experience paranormal activity a lot easier than an adult.
Indeed. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got about 1,700 people in here. I'm gonna get to some questions. I did a show earlier with Dr. Be Serious. For those of you coming in late or didn't hear the show earlier, the Non-Eat the God Fest will be available on Patreon. It will not be available anywhere else but Patreon. You can go to my Patreon, Black Magic 363. It will be on Patreon. I don't know if it's going to be live stream, but it will be up there. I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to get to questions because we're ending a little early tonight.
Okay.
I got some stuff I got to do to prepare for the God Fest, so we got about 15 more minutes. But I want to see. I know the chat. Let me see the chat. The chat is busy tonight, so I want to get to some questions from y'all. So give me some questions, family, in the chat. And while I wait for y'all to give me questions from the chat, RFG, tell them about. I know you do readings. Tell them how they could contact you for readings that you do, my brother.
I do astrology, natal chart readings, and if you're interested in knowing basically the deal you signed with these Arconian beings before you incarnated into your body, you can hit me up on Instagram. That's RFG underscore chosen one, the number one. That's RFG underscore chosen one, the number one. Just shoot me a DM. And I'll give you all the details on how you can book and set up your birth chart reading.
Right. Do you have a Cash App? Somebody asks if you have a Cash App.
I do.
What's your Cash App?
And that should be capital RFG, capital C, lowercase HOSEN, and then one, the number one.
So RFG chosen and the number one.
Yeah.
All right. Let me put that in the chat and on the screen. Y'all can support the brother. Cash App $ RFG chosen one. All right. Let's get to some questions. Let me see if y'all got all right. Latrina wants to know, why do you think the orbs are making themselves known now?
Well, I mean, orbs can be real, or they can be holographic projections. Because these days, unless you actually see the craft physically yourself, or if unless you're close enough to see it yourself, it could be a holographic projection because of their Project Bluebeam technology.
Right.
So that's why this day and age you have to be very careful, and you have to be very analytical.
Mm-hmm. All right. One thing I also want to ask you from your Instagram post is, because you said the gods from Sirius are the ones that set up the Tiamat project. I remember when I first started Knowledge, and they said Earth's first name was Tiamat. What can you tell me about the history of Tiamat?
They say that Tiamat had mostly herbivore creatures. Very beautiful, the same way Earth is, appears to be physically beautiful. Lots of lakes, oceans, rivers, beautiful scenery, and mostly herbivores, and I believe mostly fresh water. And it was Maldek, the planet Maldek was the planet that had most of the predators, the carnivores, and the salt water. So when they collided, that's what gave Earth, a certain portion of carnivores and salt water.
Okay. Got you. All right. Another question is they asked about the orbs. They also want to know about the fog. What is your thoughts on the extreme fog? Yeah. Hope I'm saying that right.
Oh, that is done strategically and artificially, without a doubt. I believe there are certain uncharted islands on this earth where you may have NASA or some kind of national force or global force, and they're working together to create fake clouds, and these clouds operate as smart clouds. So inside of these artificial clouds is nanotechnology, and it's able to basically mirror or follow the heat signature of the sun. So wherever the sun's image goes across the sky, the cloud is able to match the speed of the movement of the sun's image across the sky. So, when you talk about a natural cloud, that is something that is supposed to move with the wind current, not with the image of the sun. You see what I'm saying? These new artificial clouds are literally moving the same speed as the sun's image across the sky. And I never believed that was natural. I always thought something was off with that.
Indeed. I was watching something on Instagram, and a brother was like, it was a black dude. He was on Instagram. He was saying how we're really in the year 1017, and that they added 1,000 years to the calendar and changed the history to match. What would you, according to everything you've read, what do you have an idea of what year you would say it really is if you was to change it from 2025?
Man, when it comes to years, I believe that is the hardest number, the most difficult number to indicate accurately, because we're talking about an Earth that's billions of years old.
It's almost impossible, right?
You know what I'm saying? So, go ahead.
No, I guess they saying AD, antediluvian, like after the last flood, so-called flood, or whatever you want to call it. Like, how many years are we out of the flood?
Oh wow. Oh, definitely. Definitely between 5,500 and 6,000 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right. Let's get to some more questions. Somebody said, who are these people or beings in these underground cities where children are abducted to? I guess that's allegedly. We don't really know that, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, is she speaking specifically about human trafficking, or the government kidnapping children? Because when you talk about human trafficking, that's done by many different billionaires, owners of multi-billion-dollar corporations that are involved with that.
Right.
Now, if you're talking about children being kidnapped for human experimentation, that's the black budget military working with extraterrestrials.
Indeed. Have you ever felt like personally you were being, I think I might have heard somebody say this on this channel or somewhere else earlier, that the government was trying to recruit you or trying to or monitoring you like directly? Like, have you ever had any type of experience like that?
I remember when I was back in Vegas, like when I still had my main YouTube channel up and running, and I was still putting out public videos consistently. I remember between 2017 and 2020, that 3-year span, it seemed like there were multiple times where I would put out a video and there would be helicopters like just circling around my apartment. And I would be thinking to myself, like, I'm not in, I wasn't living in the ghetto, not even close at that particular time. And I'm like, and a lot of times I would check the news, I would check, Google to see if anything happened in my area, and nothing. But multiple times, like when I would upload different videos, I would notice that, I had helicopters that were flying over my roof, and it got to the point to where there was a situation in July of 2020. I'll tell you the cross streets. I was on Rainbow and Charleston, in those apartments that are called the Logan. They weren't always called the Logan, but they're called the Logan now. And I got out of my apartment because I'm like, why is this helicopter keep going back and forth? And I don't see anybody running on the ground. So like, they're not chasing anybody. So I'm like, what is going on? So I go out and I see the helicopter, and it's like in this deserted area, that's near the plaza near Rainbow and Charleston. And the helicopter literally turns around and is pointed directly at me. And I'm like, is this real? Is this really happening? So the helicopter not only points towards me, it starts to move towards me. And I'm like, what in the hell? And so I see clear as day the guy who's piloting it, and he looks my way, and then he goes over my complex, goes over my my location, and then he makes a turn, and he turns north. He makes a turn north, and then after that, I go back in. But at that point, I was pissed. I was pissed because they were circling around my apartment so much. It was almost like they were doing it intentionally to disturb the peace.
Wow. Damn, brother. Okay. Shit. I wonder why you had to get up off of YouTube, man. Man.
Yes, pretty weird stuff. Pretty weird stuff. And then another thing that happened in 2017 was I was working a security gig, and I was stationed on the east side of the 91 Harvest Festival, which was like a country music concert. And that was the night that it got shot up. I was working that whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I still have my wristbands that they gave out those days. And I believe it got shot up on a Sunday night. And that was very, very crazy. But I asked myself, like, is that a coincidence, or is this something deeper?
Right. Okay. Let's shit. Definitely don't think it was a coincidence. Let's oh, shout out, I just seen I got a super chat earlier. Shout out to Brady for the super chat. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. We're gonna do 2 more questions, then we're gonna get out of here. Got to get out of here early tonight, family. We are prepping for the God Fest. Somebody wants to know, is Sophia and Lauderboff relationship the make or break of this false reality?
Yaldabaoth, which is the demiurge, is mainly responsible for the creation of this physical universe. And I know this may sound a little complicated, but this is the facts. It is what it is. This universe is a holographic mimic. It's a holographic imitation of a real realm of real light. This is the realm of false light. When you talk about matter, you're talking about false light. So when you look at the smallest particle in the universe, they're going to tell you it's either an atom or a neutrino, but that's false. The smallest particle in the universe is not even a particle. It's a subatomic energy field that is shaped almost like a cube, and it gives light the illusion of being matter because it turns the light into a holographic image, which gives it the false illusion of being matter. And that's the smallest particle in the universe. So these, these subatomic particles, which I believe are photons, are subatomic energy fields that trap light and give the light a false holographic illusion of being matter. And their level of density increases and it comes together. More of them come together, and then that's what creates an atom. So when we break the matter down to the smallest level, the smallest particle is a holographic illusion, which means the entire universe has to be an emulation of what it's composed of, which is a holographic illusion. And you have people speaking on magnetism, like magnetism is some kind of divine force, like it's important on a universal scale. No, it's not. Matter did not bond with other matter through magnetism, because atoms bond through electrons, and electrons are all negatively charged. So how can magnetism be responsible for the creation of matter in the universe when matter only bonds with negative electrons, negative and negative? So that can't be magnetism. What that is matter resonating on the same frequency, light that's resonating on the same yin frequency. That's right, yin and yang are frequencies, not polarities. And when we talk about matter coming together in this universe, it's literally the bonding of electrons, which is the resonating of the yin frequency.
Yeah. I see you adamant about letting us know about what magnetism really is. I hear you talk about that a lot, man. So you standing on business with that.
Oh, absolutely. Magnetism can only be sustained through the weakest elements and the most unnatural elements. 95% of all matter in the universe is non-magnetic, and only the weakest, most unnatural elements are magnetic. And magnetism itself is only a byproduct of electricity. So, it goes from dark energy to ether to radiation, then to fire and electricity. And magnetism is only a byproduct of that electricity.
Okay. So I guess this will be the last question. So what realm is Sophia from if there were different beings before the third dimension in different parts of the universe?
Sophia is basically the portal to true God realm, and that's represented by the black hole in the center of the galaxy. When you talk about Sophia, now Yaldabaoth was one of the original stars that were birthed out of Sophia, which is the black hole in the center of the galaxy. And Yaldabaoth was born without his twin. And I believe he was also born as a hermaphrodite, unlike the rest of his siblings. So he ended up stealing a portion of Amma's placenta, which is the placenta of Sophia. He ended up stealing a portion of that so he could create his own world, and that ended up being the Earth.
I had it on mute. My fault, family. I had it on mute. But listen, man, with that being said, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show, giving us some very interesting things for us to think and ponder about. You always leave me searching for more information, and I truly appreciate that, brother. Once again, give them your contact info for everybody who wants to get in touch with you.
I appreciate you having me on, and lots of good questions as well. And if you want to reach me, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's RFG _chosen one, the number one. If you want to see my exclusive videos, you can subscribe to the Patreon account. That is patreon.com/RFG _chosen one, the number one. And if you want to send me an email, you can email me at amoapoxia@gmail.com. That's A-M as in Mandy, OAPOKSIA@gmail.com. And you can also be on the lookout for a new shipment of shirts and hoodies that I have, with the RFG logo on it. as well as Atlantean and Vegan Lion. And I'm still in the process of getting my ebook published, but that will be out shortly.
Indeed. All right, family. I will be back tomorrow night, family. RFG, thank you once again, my brother, and we will talk very soon. With that being said, everybody have a good night. Peace.
Absolutely. Likewise. Peace.